Don't worry, I'm not gonna eat it raw. Not gonna eat it raw. That's for the thumbnail. Come on, people. What's going on, guys? This is Burrows. I'm gonna show you how to make pulled pork today. My version of pulled pork, a good version of pulled pork. Maybe you can learn something from it. Maybe you can't. Maybe you know more than me. I'm gonna show you how I do it. So first things first, you're gonna need a pork butt. Just smack it. Just like that. Smack it, just like a butt. Because it's not a butt. It actually is pork shoulder, but it's called Boston butt, pork butt, or you might see, like I said, pork shoulder. Got this at Wegmans. They call it pork, whoop, they call it pork shoulder, as you can see there. This is about 7.5 pounds. Nice looking pork butt, pork shoulder. And when you go to the grocery store to pick it up, you're gonna see a whole bunch of these. Try to find ones that don't have sharp edges on them, and they're pretty uniform. You don't want to have those sharp edges because they'll burn off. And when we trim it, we might trim it just a little bit. When we trim it, you also want to make sure you don't have sharp edges because they're going to burn. So we're going to smoke this. We're going to use a charcoal grill. I got a Weber, just a basic $90 Weber charcoal grill. I've been using for years now. And let's get started. First things first, we're going to smoke this beast. So go ahead and get your wood pre-soaked. So this is the first thing you want to do. You want to soak it at least a half hour, 45 minutes. What I'm using is this Jack Daniel's. These are actually whiskey barrel smoking chips. Never used them before, but when I was at the store, I gave them a sniff test and I thought, that smells good. So we got those sitting there in some water. That way when you throw them onto the charcoal, it's not gonna burn, it's going to molten, or whatever the word is, and it's gonna smoke versus burn. So we got those pre-soaked, and like we said, let's go down through some of the stuff you're gonna need. So I got a spray bottle here, and what this spray bottle is gonna do is we're gonna fill this with apple cider vinegar, and this is what we're gonna spray the pork butt down with the pulled pork when it's in the charcoal grill every hour. So I like Bragg's. You can buy any kind of apple cider vinegar and a little spray bottle. As far as a knife goes, I like these Dexter knives. Nope, not Dexter the serial killer. This is a Dexter knife. As you can see here, these are really good knives. I'll put a link down below to a lot of the stuff you see here. Not everything, but some of the stuff you can go on Amazon, like this knife. I'll put a link down below. You want some apple juice. This is just regular old apple juice, as you can see here, nothing special. This is gonna be what is gonna keep the pork butt moist. These are barbecue drip pans I got at the grocery store. These aren't very big. These aren't the huge ones. These are 12 3/4 by 9 inches. And what we're gonna do is fill this up inside the charcoal grill to keep it moist throughout the cooking. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. As far as what I'm gonna use to attach the dry rub to the pork butt, I'm gonna use this coconut oil. This is a liquid coconut oil. Usually we'll use something like olive oil, like we got right here. But olive oil, as far as the health wise, you don't wanna get that heated up too high. Coconut oil is one of the oils you can get heated really, really hot, and it's not gonna matter. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that to slather the pork butt on. Slather on the pork butt before we do the dry rub on it. As far as the dry rub I use, real simple. Black pepper and Himalayan sea salt, which is what I like to use. Much better for you than pretty much any other salt out there other than sea salt or maybe kosher salt. Don't use table salt though. I use the pink Himalayan salt. These two, we're gonna go with 1/4 cup. For the paprika, this is gonna be more for color and a little bit of sweetness. 1/8 cup. And then chili powder, garlic powder, and onion powder are gonna be about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon or two, depending on how much you wanna have that flavor. I like the smoke, and I think the smoke really gives it good flavor. And the salt and pepper, you don't need a ton of different flavorings in there. But just to give it just a nice hint of flavoring, I like to add those in there. What I'll put them in is one of these ball jars, and what I'll do with that is if I don't use it all up, I can grab the top to it and keep it for the next time. Onion powder. Garlic powder. Chili powder. This will also give it a little bit of color. Paprika. Pepper. And the salt. So you got the red coloring in there. It's not really red coloring, but the red tint to it. Now let's clear this and bring over that pork butt. So make sure you wash your hands, get your knife, and open this up. All right, so we'll go ahead and get a little bit of a hole here started in the plastic. Try not to cut the actual pork butt. Once you get it started, you can open it up. Slap it down. Now I've been letting this thing sit out for probably about 10-15 minutes. I don't want to take a super cold pork butt, prepare it, and throw it right on the grill. The meat is going to firm up if you do that. So let this come out and get to temperature as far as the room temperature goes. Just leave it out for 10, 15, 20 minutes to kind of get the chill off, if you will. And what you're looking for is no sharp edges. You don't want to have anything that's hanging out. You want to have a nice rounded as far as the edges go. So you don't have anything burn while in the cooking process. So we got the fat side up. We're gonna not cut this off. Do not cut this off. And see here, this actually looks like a really good pork butt. I don't see anything really that needs cutting off. Maybe on this side right here. Cut this right here. And we're keeping that nice round edges all around. I think it looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and slap on the dry rub. Before doing so, we're going to apply the coconut oil, or you can use some olive oil, whatever you want. Oh look, now they have a squirt bottle. Not a lot, just a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil. It's gonna help keep the dry rub on there. All right, so that's all around. We'll go ahead and put the dry rub on here. As you can see here, there is a bone. This is a bone-in meat. Do not take the bone out. That's actually going to be one of our triggers to see if it's done or not, because after about 6 hours, as long as it's going to take, if this bone is freely moving, you're good to go. All right, we'll turn it over. You want to have a pretty even amount. You can move it around a little bit. You don't want to smear it, you want to pat it. I'll tell you what, trying to show you guys this is definitely a challenge. Cameraman and cook. And if you missed a spot, you can go ahead. Pretty happy with that. So we'll go ahead, we'll let this rest even longer. Some of that dry rub and the seasoning and stuff is going to absorb it a little bit. You'll want to let this sit probably about 15 minutes. During those 15 minutes, we can go out to the charcoal grill and get that ready. All right, so here's a basic setup on a Weber grill. You're gonna have the charcoal on one side. You're gonna have your pan on the other side, which you're gonna fill with apple juice to keep the pulled pork nice and moist throughout the process. So I'm gonna go with these long burning Kingsford. Don't buy the pre-ignited one or the pre-soaked ones. Don't use lighter fluid, just use a chimney like I got here. I'm gonna start out with these long burn ones and throw them in, not pre-lit. And I'm gonna light up a whole chimney of these Kingsford ones and put them on top. Which means that these are gonna burn throughout the process as we get further along. So to use the chimney, you go ahead and put newspaper on the bottom like that, put it on the grate, fill it with charcoal, light it up. So now the charcoal is ready. You got kind of like a gray ash on the top. So we're gonna go ahead and pour that onto the other coals. If I'm getting apple juice, no biggie. Go ahead and close it off. You want to keep this half open on the top and the bottom. It's a really hot day, so you don't want to have that contribute to getting the pulled pork too hot. So after about 15 minutes, once you let this get all up to temp, you want to be around 275. And go ahead and put your pulled pork on the indirect heat side. Then once you wash your hands off, you can go ahead and add your chips, your wood chips. And we're gonna let it in there for 1 hour and then give it a check. All right, so here we are 1 hour into it. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks great. We're gonna go ahead, spray it with some apple cider vinegar that we talked about earlier. Keep it moist. Not a ton. And we'll go ahead, add some more wood to our charcoal. Get a little more smoke in here as we go along. And then we'll cover it back up for another hour. Alright, so here we are, hour 2. Take another look at it. See, it's real nice and moist. This fat is starting to break right here. When you see that, you're almost at the point of wrapping. We're going to wrap around 3 hours, which is 1 hour from now. Just give it another spritz of apple cider vinegar here. Check your fire. You can see there's tons of coals left. We're going to be good throughout the whole burn here. Lid back on for another hour. Here we are, a little bit over hour 3. Look at that. Nice and juicy looking. Has a nice bark on it. You can see it's split right here. So it's a good sign. It's a good time to throw it in some tin foil and slap it down for another 3 hours. Go ahead and use some silicone gloves. Take this off of here. One last spray, last time you're going to see it before you pull it open. Leave it in there for 3 hours. 3 hours later, time to take it off. So it's 6.5 hours after we started. I'm gonna go ahead, take a look on the inside here at what we got. Look at that. So what we're gonna do, we're going to shut this a little bit, and we're going to let it rest for about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. So now all there's left to do is take this, throw it in this container right here, and chop it up. You can see it's already falling apart. That's a good sign. There's a few ways you can shred this. You can use tongs like this, or you can go ahead and use 2 forks. Whichever way, any way you want to do it. No right way or wrong way. And that bone we were talking about. You see it came right off. Make sure you get those little bits of bark nice and shredded out throughout the whole thing. You can always take a little bit of this juice that's here and put that in here too. So that's it. You can throw it on some sandwiches, eat it by itself. But I'm going to go ahead and throw this on some sandwiches myself and eat my dinner, because it's late. It's 8 o'clock at night. Hell, I think it might be 9 o'clock at night because I got started late. So if you guys like this, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I hope it turns out well for you. Put down in the comments how it did. And until next time, later.